The Basics, the Christian Whistleblower. I'm Jeffrey Darden. It's been a good couple hours since I've ticked anybody off. So let's get this thing back in business. Let's get this show back on the road. We're talking about the basics, and this is the basics course that you have asked for. You asked for it. You got it. I know they say be careful what you ask for, but I don't think that applies here. This is good stuff, and I think that you'll enjoy it. We are coming out of the book, Final Message of the Last Apostle. That's one that I wrote. It contains all the information that we're going over. It's $1.99 for the ebook, $24 and change, I think, for the paperback. And I did get a nice compliment. Someone said, "Oh, I'm so glad I ordered the paperback book. It's great to have it. It's a great book, very well made." And I do appreciate that kind sentiment. So subscribe, like, share, prayerfully, did I just say prayerfully? Oh my, making a little adjustment in my sleeping schedule, so maybe a little bit punchy, but consider sponsoring my work. I would appreciate it. So let's blast right off into the basics. Seed of Antichrist. And let's read from the King James Version, bless God. I feel so good today, and I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure it really matters why, but I just think everything, it's so great to be in the middle of your great basic purpose, and we're going to talk about that next on Create Yourself. So, every spirit that does not confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now is already in the world. John, who wrote allegedly that, having just identified the baby Jesus stories as fraudulent, would obviously have not used the name Jesus. Go back to the last, I think this is 6, whatever number this is, you see at the beginning, go back to the one before it, we talked about this. And you really do need to watch these in order to get the whole thing all together. He also would not have used the name Jesus because the letter J would not be invented for another 15 centuries. So we'll use the name Yeshua and the Christ so as not to confuse the apostles' words. Everyone who does not publicly declare, we're using the original Greek into literal English, everyone that does not publicly declare that the Word arrived fully human as he now appears, how a man is presented to view, external experience and condition of a man being able to make decisions for oneself. That's what this means. Yeshua, the Christ, came in the flesh. Every spirit that does not confess, every spirit that does not publicly declare that the Christ is arrived fully human, man as he appears, how a man is presented to view, external appearance and condition of a man, being able to make decisions for oneself. Yeshua, or the Christ, is declared to have come into the flesh fully human, as a man being able to make decisions for himself. The word for in the flesh here is always applied to a full-grown person, never baby, never infant, never even a small child. There's words for that, briphos, nephos, paidon, respectively. Every spirit that does not publicly declare that Yeshua, or the Christ, arrived as a full-grown human, looking and appearing as a man, walking and talking and able to make decisions for himself, is of Antichrist. Gulp. OMG. Wow. And a bunch of emoticons. The plain literal language removes any doubt that John is clearly teaching that the proponents of the baby Jesus Bethlehem birth accounts are of the spirit of Antichrist. I didn't say it, John said it. Now a quick word about the spirit of Antichrist. In other words, it means literally what the text says, against the anointed. In other words, in opposition to, oh, I know I shouldn't do this live, but it just bugs me to death. In opposition to, doesn't bug me to death, it bugs me. in opposition to the Christ, because words are things, and you don't want to say stuff like that. In opposition to the Christ. Two things become immediately clear. First, those that created, fueled, and continue to drive the baby Jesus accounts and the agenda that goes along with them are of the spirit of Antichrist, or are in opposition to the true Christ. Secondly, those that support it are also in opposition, whether they realize it or not. Every spirit, John seems to make clear that there's also some nefarious spiritual entities that are driving this agenda. For many deceivers have gone out into the world, those who don't acknowledge Jesus or the Christ as coming in the flesh. Can I do it just one more time? Just one more time. I won't do it again, I promise. Just one more time. Yeah, I got a little OCD. I'm sorry. There we go. This is the deceiver and the antichrist. Because if you don't acknowledge the Christ coming in the flesh, then you're obviously an antichrist, right? You're anti the message of the Christ. It doesn't mean that you're, the pin the tail on the antichrist that they all want to do. It just means you're against the Christ. Many deceivers, many misleaders, imposters, many deceivers trying to get others to veer off God's course or path of safety. Many misleaders and imposters, deceivers trying to get you off and to veer off God's course and path of safety have gone out into the world, denying that, I won't do it, the Christ appeared as a full-grown man in this world. If I don't have to see it, I can get by. That's just poor proofreading, and guess who did the proofreading, so I won't say much about it. John categorically states that the Christ manifested in this world as a man and bypassed infancy and childhood completely. I understand it's a big deal, but it's what the scriptures say. And this is the basics. And these are the basics. If you don't understand the Christ and the coming of the Christ and the manifestation of the Christ, how can you understand anything else? The language is very clear, and at the very least, it should demand new scrutiny of the baby Jesus Bethlehem account. Now, it's beyond reason that John knew about the baby Jesus material and ignored the bizarre UFO ET alien imagery and turned a blind eye to its hijacking of other religions' gods. The textual and contextual evidence testifies strongly that these accounts were known to John, and he countered them by forcefully showing the Christ bypassed infancy in Bethlehem or anywhere else and appeared as a full-grown man. John even states that John the Baptist is the greatest man ever born of a woman, and this clearly shows that the Christ was not born of a woman, unless you're prepared to declare the Baptist as his superior. Are you, huh? Are you? Come on, huh? What are you, huh? The story we've been told for 2,000 years is a sham, a travesty, a mockery. It's a travesty-mockery. It's not textually or logically sound. It's filled with alien imagery, filled with outright plagiarism. In addition to that, objective historical records for the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem is non-existent. All evidence available shows that the baby Jesus story is an invention of forces opposed to, one more time, I promise never again, opposed to the Christ. All right. Let me ask you a strange question. Does it even really matter if, where, or how Yeshua or the Christ was born? Well, Jeff, how could it not matter? Well, let me show you how it could not matter. Man, I feel good today. If or where Yeshua or the Christ was born is only relevant if it is part of an agenda to shift the focus and downplay the gospel in favor of another one. Consider this, if you will. Why else does the baby Jesus Bethlehem scenario forever set the focus on the man, Jesus, and it does. It sets the focus on the man, Jesus. While John and the rest of the apostles and the Christ himself, they set the focus on the message, right? And it is a complete, total 180. Allow me to strongly suggest that for your own safety, you sit down before you read the next passage. Put down any sharp implements. It's the Spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words I speak unto you, their spirit, their life. It's the Spirit. John is quoting here, and in this passage, the Christ used the Greek definite article. It means the. So what the Christ really said was, it is my Spirit. The Christ said, it's my Spirit that is life-giving. It is my Spirit that gives life. The flesh profiteth nothing. The flesh is Greek 4561. Flesh, body, human nature, materiality, properly flesh of human origin or empowerment. Do you see that? Of human origin or empowerment of human origin. Again, the definite article is employed. My body, my flesh, my human nature, my human origin, that should be in there, is of no benefit. The Christ said that it was his Spirit that gives life. His flesh, his body, his origin, his human origin, no benefit whatsoever. His flesh, his body, his human nature, the Christ. And yet we're inundated by stories of how he was born, where he was born, did he rise from the dead, is he coming again? It's nothing new. It's not even unique in religious history. Virgin born, crucified, buried, resurrected Saviors coming again are so common that they're cliche. Why am I shouting? Therefore, the Christ himself went out of his way to point out that his body, his flesh, his human nature, no benefit. Doesn't matter if he was born as a baby or where that event took place. Things about the flesh are irrelevant. His message is what he wants us to focus on. That should be bold, shouldn't it? His message, bam, is what he wanted us to focus on. And this is exactly the opposite of what Christianity does today. This is exactly the opposite of what Christianity does today. They're merely carrying on the tales of old gods and other saviors. The Christ wanted to break that mold and focus on his unique message. The powers that be have spent 2,000 years dragging the Christ back into the pantheon, leaving his message trampled underfoot. Justin Martyr wrote this. And when we say that the Word, who is the first birth of God, was produced without sexual union, and that he, Jesus Christ, our teacher, was crucified and died, rose again, ascended into heaven, we propound nothing different from what you believe according to those whom you esteem sons of Jupiter. Justin Martyr wrote that in his book of Apology. He's saying what I'm saying. There's been a bunch of people born just that way. And Jesus, baby Jesus, meet your new baby Jesus, same as the old baby Jesus. Same game, new name. These themes are replete in world religion since the beginning of recorded history. That's why the Christ downplayed them and why John used the final message of the last apostle, the final message of the apostolic era to remind us of it. Do you understand that this is the final message of the apostolic era? And John is using the final message of the apostolic era to say, look, dudes and dudettes, no baby stinking Jesus. No frilly golden baby diapers. No, I'm out of things to say. And how do you follow up frilly baby golden diapers? Dramatic testimony is given by one Nicephorus Callistus, who declared John's gospel to have been discovered in a cabin under the temple at Jerusalem. I'm thinking that idiot Ron Wyatt, shuckster, huckster, carnival barker. The volume having been secreted long anterior to the Christian era, the existence of interpolated material in the fourth gospel substantiates the belief that the work was originally written without any specific reference to the man Jesus. The statements therein accredited to him belong originally mystical discourses delivered by the personification of the universal mind. The remaining Johannine, or John's writings, the epistles and the apocalypse, are enshrouded by a similar veil of mystery. It comes from Secret Teachings of All Ages, which I need to get back to breaking down now that I got nothing but time. Kalesis might have gone a bit far, but it certainly adds historical credence and context to the words of the Christ, that his message is to be the focus and not the man. The words I speak to you, they are spirit and they are life. What I've spoken to you is the spirit and essence of spiritual existence. Powerful. It's my spirit that gives life, said the Christ. My flesh, my body, my human nature, my material essence, no benefit. The message I've spoken to you, that's life. That's the essence of spiritual existence. Not my words, the words of the Christ, quoted by the Apostle John, the man that knew him best. Basics. These are the words of the final writer of the New Testament. It's the message that's paramount, not the man. None of the other stuff matters to our spirituality, either now or in eternity. The message stands on its own. Why tie our spiritual destiny to a faith based on events that cannot even be shown to be historically accurate? That's what you're doing, Roman Catholic. That's what you're doing, Roman Protestant. Has the alien agenda centered and focused around events in the life of the invented baby Jesus in effort to downplay the unique message of the Christ? You bet your sweet bippy, as my old grandmammy used to say. She really did. And that was a great lady. Is the goal to hide the true message of the Christ? Is the goal to cause it to be completely forgotten? You bet your sweet bippy it is. Is this why we hear so much gospel about Christ, but little of the gospel of Christ? You bet your sweet bippy it is. Is this why the bodily aspects of Jesus are constantly preached, while the message of the Christ, the message the Christ actually preached, is all but ignored? Yes. This leads to a question that's got to be asked. Why is Christianity so focused on the very things that Christ said profit not and are of no benefit? I'll wait. Why is there no room at the end of Christianity for those with honest questions about events that in the end, according to Christ, don't really matter? The real question is, why is Christianity focused on the body and life of Jesus and not the message of the Christ? Because it's not a religion of Christ. It's a religion of plastic Jesus and the rat bastard. I believe that the Christ was the Word of God, one of the creators. I believe he became flesh and lived on earth. I can't prove it, but I believe it. And, like we just read, doesn't matter. I believe some of what we read about him in the New Testament is true. I also believe that if I'm wrong, doesn't matter. Because his message is what will lead me back to the divine, which in the end is the only thing that does truly matter. This should bring great comfort to true inquirers, and this should bring great great comfort to people with brains. Because I want you to read this, and I want you to understand this. I'm going to make it big. Big. Because it's important. Let's make it big. Can we make it bigger? Boom! One more time. Oh, look at that. That's big. It is not necessary to believe in the virgin birth to believe in the message of the Christ. It is not necessary to believe in a virgin birth to believe in the message of the Christ. It is not necessary to ignore plagiarism of other religions to believe the message of the Christ. It is not necessary to embrace the UFO ET alien agenda to believe the message of the Christ. That's only required if you want to believe in and embrace the story of Jeebus. And that just may be the whole crux of the matter. It's okay to be a thinker and still accept the message of the Christ. It's okay to be a person that uses their brain for something other, their head for something other than a hat rack, also said by my grandma. It's okay. It's not okay in church, but it is okay in the real world of freeform spirituality. And what's next on the basics? Alien agenda. Jesus versus, you knew I was going to do it, didn't you? Jesus versus the Christ. And I'm preparing a new book because so many people have asked for it. Jeff, you got to make it easy for us to see the difference between Jesus and the Christ. So guess what? We got a new book coming up. Let me show you a sneak preview. How about this? Look at this. A sneak preview, a sneak preview, a sneak preview of the new book. Look at that. Bam! From the Christian Whistleblower. The Christ and Plastic Jesus. From the Christian Whistleblower, the Christ and Plastic Jesus. Coming soon. From NCK Press. And it really is. I'll get it done soon. And that's what we're going into next on Basics. Alien Agenda, Jesus versus the Christ, Original Sin. That's our next step in our Basics series. I've got rave reviews so far in this Basics series. Tell me what you think. I like it. I like it a lot. And I hope you do too. I'm Jeffrey Dyer, the Christian Whistleblower. The Basics, this is how we unwind our mind. The Basics, this is how we indoctrinate ourselves. The Basics, this is how we guide our own spirit. The Basics, this is how we be our own guru. The Basics, this is how we master our own ascension. The Basics will help you discover who you are right in here. Whoop. And be excellent to yourself. So we can be excellent to each other.